Like, you know,
San Antonio. San Antonio. It's 35, 35. I tell them that was. I'm sorry. No, people work on it. Yeah, see, San Antonio is like Houston. Yeah, that's why I like driving.
Okay.
It's nicely planned. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I like San Antonio. But I gotta go to the west side. A lot of my customer under sea. But again, if she was before she went to, she was like, what's on the west side? So. Dude, I haven't seen Shamu in a long time.
Oh, yeah. So y'all's chairs are up there, and then I have like an introduction to make, and then y'all can write decisions or whatever this is. Okay. And we have the clickers.
Amazing.
I'm Jess.
I saw you at the lunch thing that you were across the road, but I saw you. I'm sorry, I'm gonna get here. Yeah.
So we got chairs over there, and then y'all can use the podium. Okay.
Oh, well, there we go.
So. Yeah, I guess so. Are you, but you're gonna. Yeah, I'll do like an introduction. Okay, everyone, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. We may have some join us a little later. We're also gonna have Zoom as well. So this is gonna be recorded, so don't say anything you wouldn't say to your grandma. So I'm Dr. Jerica Hobson. I'm one of the managers at the Honors College, and so I'll explain a little bit about what these college collaborations are. I let Dr. Lambert know at lunch that this is the first time we're doing these, and this is our second to last one, so hopefully we worked out several of the kinks. I'm also an alum of the College of Agriculture, so near and dear here. But what we wanted to do is make sure and communicate that honor students are not just honor students, and they're not just College of Agriculture students, they're both, and we share them. And so we wanted to try and make sure and strengthen that relationship and show the success of our alumni, of course, first of all, but then also the versatility and the value of the degrees that they hold and they got from here. So that's kind of how that started. Dean Falkenberry would be here, but she's traveling with students to a conference. We have 4 students presenting at a conference. This is Allie Dirth. Our students know her as the Honors College Advisor, but in this role, she's in the master's program here at Tarleton. She needed to do an internship, and I volunteered to be her internship mentor. And so she's taken on a bulk of the planning of the college collaborations. Advertising, students probably get how many texts, 15 or so, to get students to show up here. And so let me also thank you, Dean Lambert, for being here. I appreciate you making the time. Dr. Poe as well. I know everyone's busy, especially considering the contest was yesterday. If y'all don't know, it was the largest contest in the nation. We had the most students, so incredible. So I know y'all are probably tired. I appreciate y'all being here. Yes, okay, so that's everything. I'm gonna turn it over to the alums. And so kind of the structure is they'll do their presentation, and then we usually wait and have some discussion at the end in here. And then we'll have kind of an informal reception out there around 3 o'clock for some kind of more organic discussion. There'll also be cookies and punch out there, so incentive where that is. All right, Savannah, you're first.
So like she said, we're kind of gonna be talking about like where we got today. First, I want to thank y'all for having me back at the Honors College back at Tarleton. I'm super excited to be back. And then thank you also Dr. Lambert and Dr. Poe for being here. I had Dr. Poe really all throughout my college experience. So thank you so much for being here, and thank y'all for being here, because I know sometimes it's not fun to go to these things, or you're like, man, I have to sit around and talk or like listen to someone talk about probably something I don't care about, but I appreciate it. So I'm Savannah Harrington. Obviously I'm a College of Ag alum. I graduated in December of 2021. I was here for about 3.5 years, and I'm currently a Prairie View A&M extension agent in Guadalupe and Gonzales counties. So if y'all know where New Braunfels is, it's about 30 minutes south of New Braunfels. This is my dog Dude. I got him in college, so I had to include him in this, and I still have him today. And this is my boyfriend Reed, who's back there. Thanks for coming. So this is some of my time at Tarleton, but my freshman year, I was actually an ag business major. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so but I knew I wanted to do agriculture. So I decided to enroll and be in ag business. Well, by that time, I was taking a math class. Honestly, I was failing. I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do any more math classes. And so I went down to my honors college advisor at the time, and she said, okay, well, close your eyes, and what would your perfect day be in like when you're in your career? So I sat down and I said, well, I think the perfect day would be me being in an office and then me also being out in the field. Because I do not dress like this to work on a daily basis. I wear jeans and a t-shirt, or jeans and a polo, tennis shoes. I don't dress professional much in my position. Only we're at like professional meetings or conferences and stuff like that. But like I said, I graduated in 21. And so this is some of my experience since I've been an extension agent. So what I do in my role is I serve minority, low income, socially disadvantaged farmers and producers. I create educational programs from them. I go to conferences for professional development, and just answer like general questions they may have. We get a lot of like new landowners that are like, hey, I bought 20 acres. What am I supposed to do with this? And so we go, and sometimes we'll go out to their land and kind of assess it and be like, well, you can't grow this here, but you can have cattle, or you can grow this to make it more for wildlife and do a wildlife exemption. So we kind of give advice, but we're a free service since we're employed by the state of Texas. And so I just put some pictures up here from my, like I said, experience. So this is me at a conference in Fort Worth. I love going to conferences. You get to network and just meet a lot of people in different industries. And then this is me. I work with the USDA a lot in my current position. And so I have a feral hog trap in my county, and I basically lend it out to farmers and ranchers that are in need and having hog problems. So most of the time when people call the office, if it's about feral hogs, they call me. And there are other agents in my office, other ag agents, but anything feral hog, they have come to me. And so anyway, in this scenario, we went out, they shot the hogs, and we actually got to take the blood samples from the hogs. And, the blood will coagulate so fast, you have to do it like right then and there. So they sent their samples off. Luckily, we don't have African swine fever in the county yet, but that's what they were testing. And then this is me at the Beef Cattle Short Course. Super fun conference. If y'all ever get an opportunity to go, I definitely recommend it. Different things. And so anyway, that's that. And then the last picture was actually this week. I got to set up a booth with Texas Farm Bureau, and just I had some of my programs that I have upcoming, just some pamphlets, and just got to network with people. And I do that sometimes at different conferences that I'm not attending. We'll set up a booth and promote Prairie View Extension. So currently, even though I'm working full-time, I am a grad student at Texas A&M. And so I started in the fall. This is my second semester. I'm taking full-time grad school, doing full-time work. It's definitely not easy, but I think if you can manage it, then you should do it. And if you want to get a master's, my advice for that is I would say find out what you want to do. And if you need your master's, go get a master's. In my last semester, we had block, and we had a lot of people come and talk about their experiences like we're doing today. And some of their advice was, don't get a master's, don't waste your time. And then some people are like, well, yeah, go get a master's after you finish your bachelor's. And so I decided I was too scared to leave Tarleton. You find like you're scared when you get here and you want to go home. And then you make it home, and then you're too scared to leave to go home and find a job. And that's the point I was at. I didn't want to leave Tarleton. I was really nervous to go back home. It was safe. I had my own routine going. And so I decided to go. I probably applied for over 100 jobs, and I got 3 interviews, and I got this one job. And so I thought, okay, this is going to be a stepping stone for me. I'm not going to stay in extension forever. This is not what I want to do. And then I realized after getting into it, this is something I really love. And I really get to make an impact on my community that I serve, which is fun. Extension's not for everyone. But I really enjoy what I do. And so with my master's program right now, I'm doing it so I can help my producers better. And I've taken a lot of youth development classes, and Extension has 4-H. So I'm taking classes that are going to benefit me in my career that I'm in right now. And so, but my advice for that is, if you don't know what you want to do, it's okay if you're scared to go on and move on, but try to find a job. If you don't like it, you can get another job, right? And find out what you really love to do and figure out, do I need a master's or do I not need a master's? Eventually, to like grow, we have different levels in Extension. I'll have to have a master's eventually. And so while I don't have kids, while I'm still young, I'm doing it, because once you get married and have kids, I feel like it's a lot harder. I couldn't attest, I have a dog and a boyfriend, so it's easy to manage. But this is me. This was my acceptance letter. A little bit about this picture. So my great grandfather is a distinguished alum at Texas A&M. He actually did a lot of research on the hogs at A&M. All these hogs were having problems and coming out with all these birth defects, like cleft palates and blind pigs, or pigs with no eyes. And so he did the research and found out that vitamin A deficiency was causing birth defects in hogs. And so that's some of the research that he did at A&M, and that's why he's a distinguished alum. He's not alive today, obviously, but he graduated in 1922 and I graduated in 2021. I should have graduated in 2022, but I decided to graduate early. But so that's where I'm at today. I'm loving my job. I wouldn't say I love grad school. Grad school is a whole monster in itself, but I love what I'm doing and I love what I'm learning. And so that's kind of me and what I do. So.
We'll have answer questions at the end.
At the end, okay.
Yeah,
Just check.
Okay,
Yeah.
you wanna switch seats with me over here?
Whatever you want to do. I wasn't gonna sit down while I talk either. I can't do that.
So I didn't provide them very much structure. I told them, make a presentation that you would have liked to see as a student. And with honor
I didn't get that
students,
instruction.
with honor students, feel like I can speak universally. We work well with assignments and rubrics. And so I would like to praise them on taking on this challenge. I realize it probably wasn't as easy as it could have been if I had given you more structure, but I feel like we're getting from this something that I couldn't have told you to do.
So I took from that she wants us to play Life on Hard. So I think we should just return the favor the next chance we get.
All right.
My name is Zane Christian, and I do have 2 degrees from Tarleton that I got at the same time. So I have a Bachelor of Science in Economics as well as Bachelor of Science in Agricultural Economics. I literally ran out of courses to take at Tarleton to get my 2nd degree. So I wrote a course called the Economics of Healthcare that was taught for a couple of years after I graduated. That's my claim to fame. Dr. Joffrey assigned me that. That's why I thought maybe he would remember me. Anyway, I was graduated here in 2010, and I don't work in the agricultural industry. But I have versatility and I have a background in agriculture from the ag degree that I have. In addition to being a presidential honors program member at the time and scholarship recipient, I went to school on a 4-H scholarship from the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. So half my degrees are in ag. Most of my life has been in ag, but now I work in finance, and I'm going to try to reconcile those 2 things before I'm done. So, background. I was born and raised within 25 miles of this campus right now. My family owned a dairy in Carlton, Texas. We dairied for 22 years. I know what 2 o'clock in the morning looks like. I know what it's like to walk around in rubber boots and pajamas. Some of you guys can appreciate that if you come from an ag background. I've been there, okay? I am your people. I do dress like this normally now. I'll show you later what I used to dress like, but all that to say that I definitely had an ag background. I was on state 4-H council when I was in high school. I did FFA through school. I did judging competitions here on Tarleton's campus when I was in school. And I graduated from Hico High School in 2006. I got into the Presidential Honors Program. I interviewed with Dr. Clifford back then. And I received it because our valedictorian turned it down.
You don't know that for sure.
No, they told me.
He does know for sure.
Because I was specifically told when I was accepted that I was the first student at that point to have been accepted that had not been in the top 10% of my graduating class.
Did Dr. Clifford tell you?
He did.
Very direct first. Dr.
Absolutely. I was 5th in a class of 48 because I transferred from another school and lost like 20 points on my weighted average. So I should have been like 2.
but I was fifth because I lost a lot of weighted credits. Don't transfer in your senior year. Bad idea. Anyway, so the road so far. I only applied for 2 jobs, and I applied for them the semester before I was to finish college with the Federal Reserve and Edward Jones Investments, and Edward Jones called me first. And at the time, I was certain that jobs were really, really hard to come by. So I accepted, and 2 weeks later, the Federal Reserve called me. Imagine how much different the world could have been if that call had come first. But I accepted a role with Edward Jones because I wanted to work with people. I like working with animals, that's fine. I'll get into the reason that I went into finance in a second, but went to work with Edward Jones in June of 2010. Worked there until 2014, then I went to Wells Fargo Advisors. I was recruited there to work on one of the top 5 largest investment teams in the country, based in Waco, Texas, of all places. Worked there for 4 years and then went into business for myself. So I'm a partner with Kingsview Partners Wealth Management from 2018 until now. So I currently own my own investment and financial planning practice. When you watch movies like Wolf of Wall Street or Wall Street Never Sleeps or whatever else, that is an incredible exaggeration of what my industry is like, but that is what I do. Minus all the lying and cheating and drugs and other things like that. But the rest of it, the whole like talking about money, that part's accurate. So how did this happen? How did I go from this picture to this picture? And I will never really have this picture because the biggest city I was willing to live in was Waco. So Waco doesn't have that. I was offered the chance to go to Houston, Dallas, Chicago, New York, various places after I got into the business. I have no desire to be any further from home than here. Like I said, I grew up 25 miles from here. I got here in an hour and a half today. I'm just not getting any further from home. So how did this happen that I went from a field to a street? Well, let's talk about it. These 3 things. That says climate control, not climate change. I'll explain what I mean. I said I know what 2 a.m. looks like, and I know what it's like to bundle up and walk through the mud and the rain and the cold, or the incredible heat and the hard ground to get cows and everything else. My office has air conditioning in the summer and heat in the winter. And no matter how old I get, there's a lot of old dudes that do what I do, but I've seen what old farmers look like. My dad is one. I didn't want to be one. Nothing against anybody that wants to go into farming. God bless you. The world needs you. The country needs you, everything else, but it was not for me. So climate control and age were major contributing factors to me getting out of a field and into an office. The second one, what used to be Town and Country Bank, but is now Interbank, directly across Harbin Drive, was the only job in my life where I was an employee. I owned my own business doing farm services when I was in high school. I didn't work for 2 years of college. I worked my junior year of college at Town and Country Bank. I am not built to be an employee. It is not in me. So I'll explain more about that in a minute when I talk about skills that you should have in life. But Town and Country Bank is the reason that I did not become a loan officer or a banker or anything else. They're the reason I went into investments because I was already so far down the finance road. There was no coming out of it. But I was not going to go be an ag lender or anything like that, which was really where I thought I was headed. And the last part was a course that I took when I was here at Tarleton that I don't even know is still offered. I was going to ask you about this and I forgot. So not to put you on the spot, but just think about it.
Ag sales and services, right?
Ag sales? Okay.
Always built.
So the gentleman that did ag sales at the time was not a staff member. He was actually an outside person that came in. He was an industry expert or what have you. But we did an ag sales course and I had no idea how much I was going to enjoy that. I signed up for it because again, I was out of credits in the ag department. I needed more. So I signed up for ag sales and I actually backed my truck up to that little, what used to be a curving driveway that doesn't exist anymore behind the ag building, and pulled a grill out and sold hamburgers as I grilled them as my sales presentation for that course. And that teacher told me, you really need to go into sales. So yes, there's a sales aspect to what I do. I like to think that it's more cerebral than financial planning and everything else, but conveying things clearly and compellingly is really important, which really comes down to the ability to influence people. So those are kind of the 3 reasons that I didn't stay in agricultural industry specifically, but went into finance. Now, let me go a little further. What do I actually do? This is the byline that's actually on my website when people look me up. If you want to work for the rest of your life, that's your business. If you don't, let's talk. And the reason is I was censored by a compliance officer. It used to say, if you want to work for the rest of your life, that's your business. If you don't, that's mine. But I was told that that seemed really promissory and would probably get me sued. And now it's forever on YouTube. So there you go. I guess if Kevin from compliance hears that, I'll be in trouble. But for now, this is what it says. All right. Now, these are the 5 things that I really do. I do financial planning. I sit down with people that don't have any money and help them figure out how to get it. People that do have money, figure out how to make it last or give it to their kids or be more efficient. That's part of it. Next part down, investment management. I don't tell you when to buy Walmart or Amazon. I just tell you whether you should own some things for a long period of time and how much risk you should take and right size it to you. Estate planning, I help you figure out how to hand off things to your kids. This is where the agriculture thing comes in, because if you're in the ag background, a ton of your family's net worth is tied up in land, and I help people figure out how to make that generational wealth throughout the course of time instead of watching all of it get developed into subdivisions. Tax planning and analysis. I am not a CPA. I need 3 more hours of accounting to sit the CPA exam. Karen Varnell, who works at the Fort Worth campus, which is why she was not on the list of people that I asked to be a faculty member here today. She tried to talk me into being a CPA, but again, I wanted to work with people, and that is not what CPAs do. I'm not a number cruncher, bean counter kind of person, not me. So this was not for me, but I know enough about it to be dangerous, so I try to be. And the last part, business analysis and consulting. So because I've started my own business and kind of built it from nothing, I started with 0 assets under management, got every bit of it from cold calling or door knocking. So yeah, I'm pretty good at that part. I help business owners a lot in the consulting part of what I do. So here's the best skills to have. For you guys that are not yet in the industry and you're going to school right now, and what kind of things could you work on to get better in life? Okay. Some of these are things you're gonna go, well, duh, every speaker says that thing. Some of it is a little more specific, but I'll try to give you all of it, okay? The first part, work on honesty. The truth is so much easier to remember, because if you start telling and compounding lies, eventually you can't keep your own story straight. You're gonna have a lot of problems in life. So number one, just blanket statement, go with honesty. Truth's easy to remember, okay? The second one, communication. Now, I started public speaking when I was 5. I know I talk fast. It's not because I'm nervous, it's because I'm in a hurry, okay? Every time that I teach a class or speak at a conference or whatever else, I get told you need to slow down, and my response is always the same. If I talked any slower, I couldn't get as much stuff in. So I'm gonna keep talking fast. Now, with that part in mind, be clear, concise, and compelling, okay? In general, I'm not gonna use any words that are over your head if I can avoid it. I'm gonna be as specific and narrow in my scope as I can be. But also when I'm dealing with people that I'm trying to persuade, I need to be compelling. There needs to be some form of action involved. I think that's the case for any industry you go into. It's probably the case in yours as well. I'm guessing you make presentations occasionally, right?
Try not.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm a specialist for it.
Okay, no, perfect. So clear, concise, and compelling. This one right here is one that everybody says they want, work ethic. I'm convinced everybody, if they want to be successful, has to work hard at some point, but there's really 3 questions that equate whether that hard work amounts to anything or not. And the first one is when you work hard, how long you work hard, and for whom you're working. Okay. If you work hard early in the game, you maybe won't have to later. Some people work hard their whole lives, and I'll get to that in a second. But work hard. It's just the easiest thing to do. And if you'll do it early in life, you won't have to do it for as long. Again, I'm in financial planning. The number of people that come into my office and say they want to retire in 10 years and they have done nothing to prepare for it is staggering. At least statistically, the generation that's about to retire is the first generation in history that's going to retire worse off than the one before them, because they didn't work hard early in the game to plan for it. Okay, so work hard early in life, and you won't have to do it for as long as you think. And then the last part, for whom. If you can work for yourself, you're best off, in my opinion. But if you're going to work for somebody else, just make no mistake who you're working for. Everybody serves somebody, right? So leverage what you have. If time is all that you're selling, get the most that you can for your time, okay? If you're an hourly worker, negotiate for the best wage that you possibly can. However, if you can work for something other than time, this is why I'm not wired to be an employee. I did not like the fact that I'm paid by the hour, and if I get the job done sooner, I make less money. I didn't like the fact that if I finished all my tasks and went home, that I was gonna get cut. I only made like $7.85 an hour. It was not a great place to work as far as wages were concerned. But I would get $8 less, minus taxes and everything else, if I went home at 4 because I was finished. So it actually incentivized me to read the paper, which is the reason I couldn't work at the bank anymore. Because if I was done at 4 and read the paper till 5, I was in trouble. So this is where this part comes in. If your intellect is what you can sell, if it's intellectual property that you're selling, which is what I do, I can do that a lot faster. I can leverage this to make a whole lot more with less of that. Okay, or if it's a particular skill that you have, if you make widgets, make as many widgets as you possibly can in as short a time as possible. Because again, when you work, how long you work, and for whom matters. Okay, so whatever your skill is in the ag industry, it's the same thing. Okay, I'm not saying do shoddy work and work quickly, but as somebody who hauled hay all the way through high school and you're paid by the bale, I can tell you that getting done faster is better. Because they don't care how long it took you to get the hay in. They care that the hay is in and they're paying you by the bale. The more you can do in the less time, the more you make. Leverage skills that can make you more over the course of time. The last part down here, and I'll do these two things here. First one, be educated, then be an educator. Learn things and then tell people what you learned. The ability to obtain and retain information and then turn around and distribute it is really what I get paid for. There are a million random facts running around in my head, but when I meet a new client for the first time, I tell them that I'm going to be their friendly financial encyclopedia. Anything that they need to know, I will, if I have remembered it, give them total recall of that thing. Here's the part of the tax code we're going to use. Here's the part of state law that we're going to use. Here's the kind of investment program we're going to use. And if I don't know, embrace the I don't know. Just tell them I don't know, but I know how to find out. Okay? The last thing, like I said, I built my business from scratch. I did hard things. Okay? When I first got out in this industry, after I went through all my training and stuff in 2010, I started going door to door in a suit in August of 2010. We broke a record for consecutive triple digit days in 2010, and I knocked doors in a suit. That sucked. Okay? That was the worst. People that talk about cold calling, I'm like, at least they're cold. I did hot door knocks. Okay? Do hard things, because what I can tell you with the advantage of hindsight, at the time I was sure that I was not going to be fit for this industry. It was going to be awful. With the advantage of hindsight, doing hard things works out. Do some things you don't really want to do. To your point, you didn't really want to do the master's program. Sounds like today maybe you still kind of don't. That's okay. But you're embracing it, right?
I'm embracing it. I like what I learned. Don't enjoy the home, but
That's fair.
you have to do it to get the degree.
Exactly. Sometimes you have to do some hard things. Most of you know, if you're exceptional students, that you're going to take a lot of hours right now, and you're like, why in the world am I doing this? Because again, if you get done with college in 4 years instead of 6, you save all the money that you didn't make, you go to work sooner and make money in the real world and so on. But also the fact that you can make this experience, as lovely as it may be. As I walked around campus today, I'm like, dude, I remember what we did in that building over there. That was awesome. You know, we won't talk about my college experience. But what I am saying is, as much fun as this isn't the real world that you're all getting prepared for. And so let's go hit it running. And sometimes the hardest thing, to your point, is coming to college and embracing the fact that you're here, then leaving college and embracing the fact that we're not anymore. Do hard things. All right. Let's see. Did I have anything else? Oh, I did. I ended on my personal note so that you guys could wade through all the hard talk and I could end on this stuff. So I have a folder on my Facebook that is TSU. It's the label of the folder. It has 7 photos in it. I didn't stand still for pictures a lot. This is the Presidential Honors Program softball team from my freshman year, I think. And Dr. Clifford took this photo. And the only reason it exists is because I am waiting for the ball to be thrown. I am sitting on third base just trying to get home, okay? But we actually played a sport as the honors program. That did happen. We did not win games. But we were present for all of the games, okay? I had more years of baseball experience than the rest of the roster combined. The first practice, I was like, I should not have come out for this. But we had a lot of fun. Made a lot of really good friends on an absolutely abysmal softball team, okay? Post-college, I did this picture so that you guys would know I did wear a tie like one time, okay? This is how I dress now because I'm self-employed and I'm not gonna fire me or send me home to get dressed again. But when I went into the industry, I looked like this. So as a reminder, dress for success, and then maybe one day when you get there, you won't have to dress that way anymore. Okay, that's that one. And then this over here is my family. I have an absolutely gorgeous wife who graduated high school with Jerica. It's the other reason that I'm here today. And I married her not too long after college. She has a couple of years at Tarleton herself. And then we have 2 awesome kids. My daughter's not my favorite. She just stands still for more pictures than my son does. So we have my son down here. His name is Riker, and that's my daughter. Her name is Mila, and they're awesome. And the reason I do everything that I can do is to support this little unit right here. And that's all because like I grew up on a family farm, so family is really, really, really high on my priority list. So all the sacrifices, all the hard work, all the maximizing and leveraging skills and time and intellect and everything else is to be able to have success with that. So that's what I got. Questions?
Yes, we'll do questions. I think I'll go ahead and do, there's one that is asked every time, but the person that asks it is not here.
Okay, sure.
Yes. So Dennis Warrock, I normally ask this question, she couldn't be here today, so what was your favorite class outside of your discipline and why?
You go first, I gotta think about it. I got out of school a lot longer ago.
My favorite class out of my discipline was probably yoga, which I know is probably weird. I needed I think like, it was like 1 credit hour for, I don't even remember what I needed it for. But I took yoga and that was fun. I would go like actually get up in the morning and go run, and then I would go do yoga, so I was more in shape. But yeah, that's probably was my favorite class of my discipline.
I'm having a hard time thinking of classes that I took outside of my discipline besides racquetball and golf, and I don't wanna say
Honors
that.
class.
I know, right?
The honors classes are outside.
Oh, the honor seminars?
In the honors class, that was influential, I'm not trying to tell you.
Not trying to lean hard. So I took Dr. Young's Backgrounds of Western Literature course, my second semester at Tarleton. And she is the reason that I quit buying books. Because she had us buy like 14 books. And I thought at the time, there is no way we will read all these books, but indeed we did. Not the entirety of all the books, but at least sections from every book. I'm not into reading, just in case y'all, if y'all didn't clock that from my personality, I'm not a big reader. Because again, maximizing your time and things, for some people, reading is it. For me, that is not where I maximize my time. But I would say that course, I will never forget how excited Dr. Young was about all of those books. And I was like, doesn't like at least one of them suck? Like you can just admit like one of these books isn't good? But no, every one of them is fabulous to her, so that was fascinating.
That's Dr. Clifford's work?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I had her, yeah.
I did confess to her at the very end of class that I did not read all those books.
Spark notes.
Spark notes. I came in and I could explain the curve of the Aeneid, isn't that Iliad? Aeneid is the
Iliad.
Iliad story, or the Iliad, you're right, the Iliad. See, didn't read it. But talks about how it's the rising and falling of his anger, and she's like, no one ever gets that. I'm like, yeah, it's on Spark Notes in class.
Alright, the floor is open.
Oh, that's it, okay. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm interested to hear like your different experiences with trying to apply for jobs after school, because you said you applied for like 100 and you got 3 interviews, and you said you applied for 2. So I really want to hear like the differences in that.
No, please.
Okay, so I started applying for jobs in probably September, October in my block. Y'all are all College of Ag? Yeah, okay, so you'll have probably your block, y'all should. And so I started applying for jobs then. I mean, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I think that's another reason. So I applied for all kinds of jobs. And that had to do with agriculture. And I went on LinkedIn. I wouldn't really recommend Indeed, but LinkedIn is a great place to apply for jobs. But yeah, I got no emails, no calls, and I started in March of 22 and I graduated in 21. So it really wasn't that much in between, because I got the interview and got the call that I got the job in January. So it was really only a month of being graduated that I knew I had a job, but I did apply for a lot, and it was just like, no one was getting back, and I don't know if that's just the job industry now, or if it's, I'm not sure, but I applied for a lot of jobs, just, and no one replied really, so.
That's about that timeline would have been pretty close to post-COVID.
Yeah,
Yeah.
too, yeah, there's that too.
That's what I was gonna ask, is what year you graduated. So the jobs market was incredibly saturated at that point in time, and a lot of places, I do economics now, so that's my job. But at
Yeah.
the time that you were going was significantly more difficult in 2010. When I
Yeah,
was coming in the job market.
so, yeah, I was right, I guess it was right after COVID, yeah, so 2021, so, stuff started we stopped wearing masks here probably in 2021, and that, I'm not sure. I know, I never wore one, but,
But like at a point in time, we were dating and you were like, I don't wanna apply for any more jobs, so they were just telling me no, and it was
Yeah.
a little bit.
it was really,
It was difficult for.
yeah, it's really
but
disheartening, like,
it's- It is disheartening.
yeah, my mom went to nursing school. She was gonna be a nurse, right? My dad went to culinary school. He's gonna be a chef. My sister studied elementary education. She was gonna be a teacher. They all knew what they were gonna do. They all had very direct paths. I did not. And so when I hear my mom telling me, well, you're not trying, like, I'm trying, but no one's getting back to you. And even if you send a cover letter and you send your resume and you can send a follow-up email, sometimes they just still won't get back to you. But I don't know how the job market is now. I haven't applied again.
It's very similar to that.
It's bad. If you don't mind me
It's
adding
incredibly
something,
tough.
I think at this point, it's a numbers game.
I think it's also a reflection, like, I remember your procurement of your internship, you know, and how like your internship was something that was a little bit more safe. Cause someone that you had a connection with,
Yeah.
you know, in your network, rather than maybe kind of pushing yourself in a. Could have done maybe an extension internship,
Mhm.
you know, or something like that, that would have maybe opened up even some more doors.
Right, yeah, so I
Event planning, which still benefits you, there's, I mean, you
Oh,
learn
yes.
from every experience, right?
Yeah, so I knew, my dad works at a winery in Fredericksburg now, he's not a chef anymore. But, he knows a lot of people from that, and I worked at that winery too when I was in high school, so I met a lot of people. This lady had her own business, she always told me she wanted to hire me after I graduated from college, I interned there. And they did offer me a full-time job, but it was something I didn't wanna do. And so I turned it down, which my parents thought I was stupid for turning down a job offer because I didn't have a job, but you should do what you wanna do and what your heart is telling you to do, because even though, yeah, I'm turning down a job, but is that what I wanna do for the rest of my life? No. And so I did actually help them between me starting my new position, and I was like, yeah, I'm so glad I did this job. So, but yeah, it was a safe route. I was like, oh, well, this will be easy instead of going out of my comfort zone. So I would definitely say, go out of your comfort zone when you get to that internship stage.
So for my part, I came into a very different job market. But the other thing is that like I said, I worked for that bank, and in the entire time that I was at Tarleton, I never stopped working. I hauled hay every summer. I hauled hay through the night on many times because you can technically do it in the dark. It's not as safe, but you can do it. And I didn't take out any student loans when I was here. That was one of the things I was absolutely adamant about not doing. So between my scholarships and the money that I made, and I lived in some absolute rat holes in Stephenville. Y'all have dozed, one of the houses that I lived in Stephenville, right over here. But I say all that to say this, that the reason I took a pay cut to go work at a bank is because I knew it was gonna look really, really good on a resume if I wanted to work in the financial industry. So I cannot stress enough that if you know at least the industry that you want to work in, sometimes it's not about what you're getting now, but it's about the book that's going to be written about your life later, which is, in your case, going to be a very short book, front and back, it's on a resume. And you're going to hand it to somebody and go, I am worthy of your job because I have these credentials, these criteria, these skills. So if you know that you want to go be a vet, go try to get an internship or whatever else, or volunteer. It's not about the money you're gonna make at the time. It's about having something that you can show a potential hiring person later that says, I have the prerequisite skills to be worthy of this position. Okay, so that was the reason. Again, I went and took a job that was not within the skill set that I have, and I will, Lord willing, never be an employee again. But I did that because I knew it was gonna look really good on a resume. Keeping your grades up, everybody can do that. That I say can. Y'all are not in a group, you can. But also the fact that you gotta go be willing to do some hard and uncomfortable things. Now, I would take a different approach to one thing, and that's not, the intent here is not to seem argumentative. I did take a job, that took the first job that came down the pike. And the reason was, I didn't know the second one was coming. But it's not the only firm I've ever worked at. I worked for what is a major nationwide brand, for an even larger, more well-known nationwide brand, and now I just own my own business and compete with them. Okay. Edward Jones was irrelevant to me. Their training program is stellar, they're a good firm, I will say nothing bad about them whatsoever. But I took that job because it was the job that came down the pike that was in the area that I wanted to go into, and I could develop skills that would make me better and get me further down that road. And the illustration for that is my older sister, who had a degree from A&M and bounced in Waco between TSTC and L3 Harris. Back and forth, she changed jobs once a year until she had kids and got a raise every single time because each one was willing to bid up for the next thing. Good for her if you can get it. But if you're willing to pursue in the industry that you want, sometimes you take a job that I don't really know about that, but maybe you develop a skill that's necessary to get you further down that path. For me, Edward Jones was a place where I developed that. I still use skills that I got in my first year in the business now. That was 14 years ago. So again, my path's a little different than yours. I'm just saying from my own experience. I took a job that I didn't know was what I wanted. I just knew it was in the area I was headed towards. And there were skills that I could get there that would get me further down the path. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
So speaking of resumes, I've heard that resumes should be only one page, but then I've heard well, it can be as many pages as you want. So what is y'all take on that?
You want to go first? Would you like?
Yeah, I can go. I heard that same thing. My resume is one page, and when you're coming out of college, you don't have that much experience. So if you've been in the industry for a long time, probably over 20 years, it might be two. But definitely, I would say have it one page. The Tarleton services they have to help with resumes help me with mine. And I would even have maybe some of your professors look over your resumes. That's what we did in our block. Had them look over our resumes, and they nitpicked every single little thing. Now, it's not fun, especially when it's in front of all your peers, but it does help a lot. So I would say one page.
I would get to that same point, but by a slightly different reason. You know the difference between having tryouts and picking teams? Okay, having tryouts, you make the cut. Picking teams, everyone gets to play. Your resume should be about having tryouts, okay? Do not put fluff in your resume. Put meaningful things. Because if you're applying for a job in banking and you're like, I did ballet when I was 7, they're like, who cares? Okay, so have a reason that something is there, but it needs to be things that make the cut. And if we're all real with ourselves, the things in our life that really make the cut, if we're having tryouts for what the most important parts of our life, I consolidate my entire life into 8 slides. So surely I can fit that on one page, right? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely put what is, like, I worked at a winery in college, and I worked at Cotton Patch. And so obviously the winery is agriculture, you know? And so make sure when you're applying for a job that it's relevant to what you want to go into, because they'll look at previous experience. And learn how to sell yourself too. Learn how to talk about yourself and to be like, this is why I can do this job, and be confident. So learn how to sell yourself and be confident. Even if you're not. Well, don't fake it till you make it.
I was like, you're gonna fake it till you make it.
But be honest, like you said, be honest, but be confident, and you know what you can do. And some people don't know what you do. So
If you don't believe in you, why would anybody else? You know you better than anyone, so.
Keep in mind that there is a resume and then there's a curriculum vitae, so those
I have
are,
those.
yeah, those are very different.
Yeah, but I would go on the 1-page route.
yeah.
Hit the highlights,
Is 1.5 pushing it?
front and back, fair? I can tell you, if you go to multiple pages, it's hitting the trash can fast.
Yeah,
And I
They
work in an
want-
ultra competitive industry, like ultra competitive.
they want something they can read real fast, and because I feel like some of that is like the resume. If you have a ton of pages, they're like, nope, not gonna read it. They're not gonna read most of it. Like if it's 1 page, that's what they want, because they're going through so many different resumes, I guess depending on the job.
Mhm.
That you want something that's easy to read. Mine is just plain black and white, has every little thing they need, nothing extra.
And I don't know if anybody else watched The Office, but I did like 6 times. All right, first rule of roadside beat sales, put your best beats up front, okay? Put the good stuff at the top of the resume, because they're gonna decide in the first half if it's worth to keep reading. So get the good stuff up top.
I found that really interesting because I remember in high school, they forced us to take like a resume class or whatever. And they told us, put as much stuff on there as you can think of. Everything that you've ever done in high school, you put it on there. And it was really interesting because they wanted us to do like multiple pages, like everything that we'd ever participated in.
Mhm.
But I find that to be the opposite of what everyone wants. So I don't know what that class was going on
So
about.
can I question 2 things about that? The first one, what were you applying for?
Nothing. It
Exactly.
was just a resume building class.
That's my point. You're applying for a theoretical job and they want you to really think of all the good things that you've done. Take that exact same resume and sift out all the nonsense and you'll get to what a real resume should look like. The other thing is, by the time you finish high school, how many real things have you done thus far? Okay, when you came to college, they really needed about 2 things. How'd you do in your classes and what did you do when you weren't in class? That's pretty much all we know about you so far. Okay, so yeah, the reality is your high school resume should have been 2 paragraphs. In school, I made this two sentences, I'm sorry. In school, I made these grades. Out of school, I did these things. That's the whole resume. And college goes, yes, we do or don't want that. But yeah, I understand why in a theoretical job for a theoretical resume, they had you put everything you could think of.
And to some degree, just to piggyback off of that, that's an archive of like all of your skills, your experiences and all that. So if you have a master resume that
That's
be
what
a
I do.
CV that is forever, then it's your job to tailor what they want for that job responsibilities and what skills to match those up and then pull those out to things.
That's what I have. I have a master resume that well, not that I'm applying for jobs, but I pulled from that. Everything I did, all my jobs in high school, all my jobs in college, and my job now. So definitely keep a master thing of what you've done, because you wanna know and you wanna be able to go back on that. So yes, that's exactly what you should do. But then like Dr. Poe said, pull from what's gonna be relevant. Any other
Anybody else?
questions?
And if one of you ladies wants to double up, go ahead. There's only 5 of you, so knock it out. We did not break the record. We did not break the record. I'm sorry. I was rooting for you.
That's action.
I mean, y'all can ask us anything.
Another one.
Go ahead.
Okay, sure. So, with your time at Tarleton, what did you all do that helped you all find what you wanted to in life, whether that be internships, clubs, student rotations, anything like that?
I was not involved in any clubs or anything. I was busy working 2 jobs and doing full-time school. I do kind of regret not doing clubs and stuff. I was in the honors college, of course, but I didn't do anything, within, the college I worked. And so, yeah, what was the second half of that?
What were we involved in?
That contributed. Yeah, I just worked and so, but I think the class I took made me successful, so.
I was also not super involved. I cheated the system. I lived within 25 miles, so I was allowed to say I was a commuter, but I lived across the street. And we had stellar parking in the honors program when I was here, because before all the parking lots were gone, there was a parking lot right in the middle of campus that we all got to park on. So I drove from there to park on campus.
Parking is still good for the honors residents. It's right down the.
Hey, that's perfect for them.
You can get a
If I
spot.
lived in this dorm, I wouldn't have to. Anyway,
I could never get a spot out there, ever.
I got a spot out there the one time I came back to campus, so I'm just saying. Anyway, so to your question about what I was super involved in, I was not super involved. Now, here is my thing about that. College was the vehicle to get me to the rest of my life. Okay, while I was here, I got degrees that contributed to the field that I wanted to go into, and I took a job that I didn't really want, but it contributed to the field that I wanted to go into. And because of that job, I mean, one of my, what do you put on a resume, people that they call references, thank you. See, I haven't got a resume in a long time. All right, one of my references was my boss from the job at Town and Country Bank, then Interbank. He actually worked on Tarleton's campus after that. His name's Daryl Brown.
Oh,
Good old.
Daryl was my direct
Wow,
report
yeah.
at the bank. Anyway, he was one of my references when I applied for Edward Jones. So it was much less to me about how many fun things can I do or how many, I don't remember there being clubs when I was here. I've only been gone 14 years, but I feel super old every time I come back to campus. Everything's changed so much. I'm like, I'm just a dinosaur. But all that to say, I was not super involved in clubs. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do. It's a great way to network and be involved in these mixers and things like what we're doing right now. I mean, if I had a job, I would consider you ladies and gentlemen here just because you're here. You're showing the initiative to show up, stuff like this, and you care and you're in the field that I'm in and that kind of stuff. I'm with you. At the same time, college was a vehicle for me. I crammed as many class hours as I possibly could and some stuff that looked good on a resume into getting out of here in 4 years and going into the real world. But that's I have a very pragmatic way of looking at things like that.
I had a lot of fun, but I wasn't involved in clubs.
Well, I'm not saying that I didn't have fun, but like I said, so
So
for you, it's for you.
it's actually.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
not for
God.
me, that's like.
She's like your bestie, right? Like she's meant to tee you up and let you crush them out of the park.
Oh, no, I was like, it's definitely for
We'll
you.
talk later, but no. I think it might be valuable for them to hear it. So I am currently trying to transition into being my own boss.
Mhm.
I'm working part-time while I also am founding a marketing agency. So I guess at this stage in entrepreneurship, I wanted to hear what advice you have for someone who's in the middle of taking that leap.
Okay, so if I'm appropriately understanding your question, how to shift from being an employee to an employer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first part is accepting the risk. Because when you decide that you're going to go start a business, you were taking a leap of faith and you were pushing all your chips into the I bet on me square. And I've done it just the one time. That's the one time I would like to do it. But I'm generally a risk averse individual. I'm not a super big risk taker, but if I'm gonna take a risk, I'm gonna take a risk on me. So to that end, that's part of it. Now, without getting fully into, like, this would actually be a 90-minute conversation if you came to my office and asked that question. We don't have that kind of time. But the first part is understanding the finances incurred to do that. So if your idea of starting a business is I'm gonna go take on a ton of debt that I'm not really sure I can pay off, it's a really risky way to do it. The better way to do it is to see if you can leverage skills that you already have to begin making money at the get-go instead of taking someone else's money to try to get there. So, I feel like I'm not answering your question
No,
because I
you're
want to go into a really protracted answer.
Yeah.
To be super concise as much as I possibly can. If you're gonna go and be self-employed, there's only really two ways to do it, and it's to do it on debt or to do it on sweat equity, and I would do the second one. Okay, invest time in a job that you don't really want to get to the point where you can go into a job that you actually do want. Because let somebody else pay for your ramp up time and your training, and it's gonna require you to work some extra hours and everything else. And my easiest case study for that is go watch YouTube videos of Shark Tank. Every one of those business owners that has a real good business model, it's like, I started this in my garage and we work 75 hours every week and 30 hours of overtime on the weekends and all this. And you're just like, where do they find the time? And the reality is that they're super driven people and they understand that the only way to get where they want to be is to leverage what they have. Okay, so that's my concise answer to your question. There's a lot more tax and planning and other answers that I'm just like, call me sometime.
Do alumni get a discount?
She has his.
Okay, good.
Oh, I do, yes, I do have. I know Reed will be like, hey, we need to go talk to him about finances after this. Look at this.
So I had
So
another
I hope
question.
that's in the ballpark of what you're asking me.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So one thing that I did not do as well as I could have as an undergrad was networking. And you had mentioned references, and I think that's something that maybe we don't think about as much. So I just wanted to see if I could get y'all's opinion on how they can not be afraid to network. Who should they network with? How should they network? Kind of thing.
Do you want to go first or should I go first?
I'll let
No, you can. I'm a ladies first kind of guy, but if you want me to go, I can. When you guys think of networking, what do you think of?
Finding other people in the industry.
Okay, and the last part's the important part, in the industry. If you're going to a networking event where everyone else in the room is also unemployed, you're not really networking with the people that are gonna help you advance, okay? Networking is going to people that you can actually get further down the road with. That's fine to make friends, a social event or what have you, perfect, that's fine. But networking in my case is here, meeting people that can actually help me get advanced. It's not because I'm planning to use those people, but because if I want to get down the road to where those people are at, I need to hang out with the right crowd. Okay, the same way that you dress for the job you want to have, hang out with the people that you want to be. That's my advice on networking.
I know Tarleton has a lot of different opportunities for students whenever they have the career days, or even the College of Ag has like they invite different employers. I think those are great events. If that's an opportunity, I would definitely say go for it, because you meet all different kinds of people and you can talk to them and say, hey, what do you do? And you can really learn what they do if you don't know what you want to do. I think networking with your peers is great too. I'm gonna veer off from that a little bit, but you never know. I'm very close with my block. We got really close. We still have a group text. We still text from time to time, but I think now we're all in the industry, and your peers that are in college are all gonna be in the industry, whether it's ag or not. And I think still keeping that connection with those people is important, because if, say, you have a job that you don't like, but you know that your classmate got this job, then you can go and say, hey, how can I get into this industry? What can you do to help me? But I think networking at those events where they have employers is very important to do. And as far as references, I used my employer that I had in college. I think I've used Dr. Poe before. I've used Dr. Graham. Make those relationships with your professors. Tarleton is so small that you have that opportunity, that 25-to-1 ratio, or if that's how it kind of was when I was there. But you have those opportunities to go and talk to your professors and build a relationship with your professors. And I have friends on Facebook with some of my professors, And so references wise, just think who is gonna be, who's, I don't know, like Dr. Graham saw me work hard and she was a reference. Dr. Poe saw me work hard, or I hope they saw me work hard. But they know your work, they know your work ethic. They know how you work in the classroom, and even when people aren't watching, just work hard because it will do good for you. But yeah, references, just use people that you think will be good. I use employers and then professors, so.
Is there any other questions?
I mean, y'all can ask anything, it doesn't.
So we're actually it's about 3, so we're actually just gonna move it into the lobby and make it a little bit more relaxed. There's punch and cookies out there. And so y'all can kind of mingle as you like. Ooh.
I did want to ask that curiosity, so Prairie, are y'all in a position with the team? Okay,
So like, if you